It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
My friend, it's nice to know that you could do whatever you want in our country, America. You have freedom. You could even say things that you cannot say in different countries. At least till today, we could say whatever we want to say. We have that freedom. And that didn't come easy. It did not come easy. The fact that we have this freedom today is because of our veterans who went through the wars and went through the horrors. And you know, we can't thank them enough for what they did for us. Younger people should learn more about our veterans and what they did. And today I hope you're going to learn a lot. Got a call from a friend of mine from Freeland. Said a guy by the name of Joseph Barna wrote a book, God Makes Angels and Navy Corpsmen. So I said, absolutely, it'd be my honor to have Joe on the show. He's young. He's a young man, 91 years old, and he's doing great. I read the book, and it's very interesting. And I say young people should read it, and you'll see what they went through. Joseph, thanks for coming on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
It's an honor to have you on the show. This book is very interesting. Yeah.
Well, it's my feelings, it's my words, it's my life.
Yeah. 91 years old.
I made it. I don't know how I made it.
Well, good living, I guess, and hard work. Joseph, you know, in here, you cover a lot of areas. You know, you cover about, when you went in. So bring us back a little bit. You were in the Korean War. Bring us back how, when you were enlisted, and tell us that story.
Well, I was one of 8 children, 5 boys, 3 girls. We lived in a double house, 3 bedrooms. My mom and dad slept in the back bedroom. My sisters slept in the middle bedroom, and the 5 boys slept in the front bedroom, on one bed, pretty crowded. I used to stay out late at night and come in late so I could sleep on top of the pile. But I grew up, we never had it too good. My dad had a job, but with 8 children, it's pretty hard. And at times we had tomato soup made with a bottle of ketchup and hot water. We cut a cake in 8 pieces. But we made it with a lot of help. My grandparents were wonderful people. They helped a lot. But I went to school, grade school, Daniel Cox. Then I went to Freeland High School, where I graduated in 1948. I was involved with sports, but we only had one sport, basketball, actually, in high school. So after high school, I loafed around a little bit. I played baseball, softball. I did a lot of fishing. Then I reached the age of 21. I got drafted. So I got my physical in April, and I passed. And then I figured, well, they're going to call me any time now. So summer went by, the fall went by, and we moved. My family moved the house a block down the street from where we lived, and we moved in this house. And the second day there, I got a letter from the government saying, "Come on, we want you now." That was November the 1st, 1951. So they said, report to Wilkes-Barre 3 days later. So I went to Wilkes-Barre to be inducted into the Army with 66 other fellows. We were sitting in this room there, and this Marine sergeant come in here. He said, I need 6 volunteers for the Marine Corps quota for the month. Do I have any volunteers? Nobody volunteered. So he said, we're going to go out and go through your records and pick 6 lucky boys out. So they went out, and about 2 or 3 hours later, they come back in, and they started reading names off. Number 6, Joseph R. Barna. I was scared. I mean, I had heard about how the Marines, what they did. They were a good outfit. I was kind of impressed in a way, but I was scared another way. So I called my dad up. I said, "Hey, Dad, I'm going in the Marines." He said, "Oh my God," he says, "I'm proud of you." I said, "Don't be proud of me till I come home," I told him. So I went down, we had to report to Paris Island for 12 weeks basic boot camp. It was going to be rough 12 weeks. So the third day, We were all in the barracks, 53 of us, platoon. They took us all out, shot to a barber shop. There were 7 barbers in there. So we all went in and got a haircut. And there was no hair on nobody's head. 53 guys, all bald-headed. And you didn't know who the other guy was even. I mean, we all looked the same. And that's when I realized right there that everybody is the same. No, there's nobody different than the other guy. I didn't know my buddy next to me. I said, who are you? He said, I'm Roy. Don't you know me? I said, no, you look a little different. But we had the 12 weeks of training, and it was, like I said, it was hard. But the longer I trained, the wiser I got, the stronger I got. I learned more, and I got to develop a sense of pride. So graduation came 12 weeks later. I got my first stripe. And as we marched in the parade in front of the general, everybody else, all platoons were graduating that day, I could feel who I was. Then I realized who I was then and what my job in life would be eventually. So then they gave me 10 days home to leave. I come home for 10 days. I walked around town a little bit. Then I report back 10 days. I went to Cherry Point, South Carolina. Then they told me I was going to Camp Pendleton, California for training, infantry training. I knew where I was heading right then because the war in Korea was going on and it was going full blast at that time. So we trained in California for around 4.5 months. And like I said, I was getting stronger. I was getting smarter, wiser. And I learned how to respect everything about me. I learned respect from my dad, in fact. So I knew I could handle whatever they gave me. And I figured if someone else could do it, I could do it. But I never thought I could do what lied ahead of me, though. Now, I live by 3 rules. What lies ahead of me and lies behind me now lies within me. What lies within me now, I never let go what was behind me. And I kept that all my life. And I believed in myself. And I believed I could do what was right, not wrong. So they put me on a boat after 4.5 months of training. And I had a 23-day cruise to Korea. All I saw was water, water, water. So the 23rd day, we saw land. And you could almost smell Korea because in Korea they use human waste for fertilizer. And when the wind blew, you could almost smell it. So we climbed on a ship, we got on landing boats, we headed to the shore. And we got so far to the shore when the water got so low we had to stop and had to walk about 1.5 feet of water into land. So we did that. We got on shore. There was trucks waiting for us. We each got in trucks. In fact, on the ship before, we know where there was 5,500 Marines and about 500 soldiers. So we got to Korea. We got on trucks. We're going to our units. And I got on one truck they assigned me. And I stopped at the bottom of the mountain. I looked up there, and the guy said, "That's your unit up there on top of your hill." So he said, "Start walking, because the trucks don't climb mountains." So I started walking up this trench. It must have been almost 1,000 feet long, because the war in Korea was fought on mountains. Every mountain had a battle on it, one battle or other. You could read about it in the books. You had Bunker Hill, you had Siberia, Reno, Vegas, Baldy, Pork Chop Hill. They're all, every mountain had a name on it. Every mountain was a battle, and every mountain Americans died on. But in Korea, we had 23 other countries, United Nations, that helped us. They would send maybe a couple hundred troops over to help the big army over there. So then we got stationed on the 38th parallel because we were pushed back to the 38th parallel when the Chinese came in. We had no chance, no choice at all, no chance. We were outnumbered 8-1. So they pushed the Americans and our United Nations troops back to the 38th parallel when the Marines stopped them. And from then on, it was a battle of mountains, mountains and mountains, every mountain. And unlike World War II, when you saw the Marines on the islands, they were always advancing, attacking, They're always assaulted. In Korea, they were defensive. They put them on a mountain, and you stayed there and you held that mountain so the communists couldn't break through and push everybody to the sea again. But there was terrific battles over there, Sam, and many, my division, I believe they lost 5,800 good Marines killed. That's a lot of good men. And there was, I think, 30-some thousand wounded. And we fought every night. Like I say, you stay at a mountain and you just sit there and wait. You just wait. And while they're shelling you, you have no place to go. Because you can't go back down a mountain. You're stuck on that mountain. You just pray and hope that you don't get a shell don't land on you or a bullet don't hit you. But then we used to go out on patrol at night. We used to pick at different hills and go out and raise hell, actually. But we were still losing men. I mean, there's a war that it couldn't be one, I don't think. It couldn't be one. No, both sides lost. I don't know how many Chinese, Korean we killed, but I didn't get a chance to count them. But I know how many we lost. We lost a lot. In fact, I think the losses in Korea were about 40,000 killed. That's a lot of good young men who never saw their families again.
When you were there, and I can imagine you're living on adrenaline because you don't know what's going to happen. You're fearful. What gave you the strength, to carry on, particularly when you're up in that mountain and you don't know, if your life's going to end tonight, tomorrow, whatever. What gave you the strength and the faith, to continue?
Sam, I used to wonder that myself because I forgot to tell you that when I first went over to Korea, when I was up top of the mountain where I met my unit up there, it was Company B, where I was weapons company. I was 5'9", I weighed 157. They gave me a flamethrower as a weapon. Yeah. A flamethrower is 68 pounds, and I was 157. And I didn't really want it, but it was assigned to me, and I followed orders. So I carried a flamethrower for, I guess, about 2.5 months. And it's a terrible weapon, believe me. It shoots a flame out, and it burns people alive. And the flamethrower, a weapon, holds 5 gallons of fuel. The whole thing lasts about 24 seconds, and you're out of fuel.
Wow.
But I didn't want it, but I was stuck with it. And I couldn't say, I don't want to do that because I only follow orders. I'm only a corporal, a private at the time. But somehow I survived. I don't know how.
You tell a story in the book here of when you had the flamethrower and you got hit and you went down and a Korean came over to you and tell me that story.
The one battle, we were having a battle, we were getting shelled, and I had the flamethrower, and we were going to get attacked. We were attacked, and they were shelling the mountain, and the shell landed near me, and it knocked me down on my back. And I'm laying on my back with the flamethrower on my back, and I couldn't move. And all of a sudden, I saw a figure coming toward me in the trench. It was a Chinese. He had his rifle with a bayonet on. So he lunged at me, and when he lunged at me, I turned. I turned my arm a little bit, and he caught me in the arm. And I still got the scar right here yet. It's about a 4-inch scar. But I had a shotgun taped to my flamethrower, so I swung it over, and I gave him both barrels. I know I killed him. I didn't check to make sure, but then I laid down, and I saw the blood coming out of my arm, and it was coming down, running on the ground, and I thought I was dying. I thought that was it. And I just about ready to fall asleep when I heard a voice say, Joe, if I don't sew that shut, if I don't close that, you're going to die, you're going to bleed to death. And here was my Navy corpsman, John Kilmer. He was a 21-year-old Navy corpsman. But a corpsman is the Marine's only hope of living in a war. If you're in a war and you're wounded and you're losing blood, the only hope you have is to pray that Navy corpsman is standing by you, asking you, can I help you?
And that, hence, is the book, God Makes Angels and Navy Corpsmen. Joseph Barna wrote this book. It's the memories of the war in life, and we learn a lot about history and what the veterans really went through. You know, we hear these stories, but they actually live those stories, all right? And when we respect the people who have given their lives, some of them came back, and in the book he talks about some people that didn't lost their arms and their legs, and they didn't ask for it, my friends. They did not ask for this. All these veterans that went, all these people went to war, Vietnam, they didn't ask for it. And so what do? People come back from Vietnam and we spit on them. For what? The fact that you were able to spit on them gave you that freedom that they went out and they lost so many people. That's why I say when you see a veteran, salute them. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, ssptv.com. You can watch all of our local neighborhood programs that we produce. Pottsville, we're on every day from 7 to 11 p.m., channel 190, and of course, Wilkes-Barre and the Mountaintop area in Kingston on channel 92 every Saturday and Sunday evening from 7 to 11 p.m. We'll be probably increasing those hours, but thanks for the comments. I'm talking to veteran here. He wrote this book, God Makes Angels and Navy Corpsmen, Joseph Barna. He's a young guy. He's 91 years old. And, you know, you said, Joseph, that the only way you could write a book like this is to live it, okay? How important was your faith when you were there in Korea and, you know, you didn't know that what was going to happen? I'm going to get killed? Will I survive? How important was your faith?
When you're in a war like that there, you never know if you're going to see tomorrow. I mean, in Korea, almost every day was a battle. Almost every day, every night. Because they had so many men, so much equipment, and we were most of the time outnumbered, actually. And I could say you could expect an attack almost every night. You had to just stay in that bunker, in that trench, and just wait and hope. And hope that you win, that they go away eventually. Mm-hmm. But you don't think about tomorrow because you don't know if it's going to come or not. Now Jackie Kilmer there, who saved my life. A month and a half after he saved my life, there was another big battle raging to a hill on the left to the right of us there, and he went to help this company out. And at that time, he got wounded. He had 5 pieces of shrapnel in his body. He got wounded. They took him in a trench bunker to treat him, and he heard somebody outside hollering for help. And while he was being treated, he tried to go out and help those Marines that were wounded outside. And the lieutenant said to me, you know, if you go out there, Jackie, you're going to die. He said, if I don't go out there, they're going to die. So they patched him up, and he crawled out to these 2 Marines. And he helped them. He dressed them. He got close to them. He dressed them. And then he heard heavy shelling coming in. So when he did that, he laid on top of the both of them and saved their life. He covered them up. And the shell landed near them. He ended up with 18 pieces of shrapnel in his body, and he was killed. Jackie Kilmer was awarded the Medal of Honor for that heroic action. And I keep this picture in my pocket. I'm in the honor guard in Freeland, and I have his picture in my pocket in my honor guard. I never forgot him, and in fact, this past week, I heard from a Navy commander in Texas. They had honored Jackie Kilmer by naming a building after him in Corpus Christi, someplace down there, and he told me that he got a contact with Jackie's family, her surviving members of his family, and they are going to call me up and talk to me someday. Oh. I mean, to me, that is a real big thing to me, because when I came home from Korea, when I learned Jackie was killed, I didn't know he was killed for until maybe 2 or 3 weeks after, because I didn't hear about him, I didn't see him. But then when I came home from Korea, the first thing I did was I got on the telephone and I called his mother up in Flint, Michigan. And I told her that I served with Jackie, and he was the bravest man I ever met. I mean, he walked around those mountains, Sam. He had a 45 strapped to his side, but he never pulled out of his holster. He never used it. He carried a little black bag. And I can't imagine how many Marines can thank him for coming home alive.
I can imagine. When you, how long did it take you to write the book here? Because you cover a lot of interesting stories.
Well, I started writing, I guess maybe around 9 years ago or so. I started writing little bits and pieces. And in fact, your Channel 7 called me, Eric Olson called me one time to come over one night, talk about the Korean War.
Yeah, I saw that. It was very interesting.
So we had a talk over there.
And you also had a meeting, or you met Dr. Kibam Lee, okay?
Yeah, Dr. Lee.
Yeah. He delivered my son and daughter, incidentally.
He delivered my granddaughters and grandsons.
Great
too.
doctor, great doctor. So it was a good reminiscing that you had with him.
He called me one day. He said, you know, I come from Korea. He said, when you were over there fighting, I was only a little boy, he said. So he said, I'd like to meet you and take you for breakfast.
Yeah.
So we got together, and we went for breakfast in a free little diner.
Yeah.
And we had a good talk.
Yes.
I mean, he said, you know, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you guys, he said.
And that's the story. I got 2 minutes left. I mean, we could go on for hours. The fact that we would not be enjoying in our country today what we have if it wasn't for people like you and the veterans. And you know, you just can't do enough for people like you, and you know, you don't ask for it. You know, I'm sure sometimes you even become embarrassed over some of the things that, you know, the honors that they're giving you.
Well, I look at a veteran, he don't do it for money.
Exactly.
He don't do it for glory.
Exactly. He just does
He does it for his buddy.
Yeah, and he does it for the country.
And he does it for the flag that we love.
Yeah.
The flag.
How do you get the book? I'll tell you how to get the book, my friends. You go to Amazon, and he's now we're gonna
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble, and July 30th he will be at the Freeland Public Park. Signing this July 30th. Now, if you see this show after July 30th, because we'll run it before July 30th, understand that you get the book Barnes & Noble or Amazon. I could only tell you, Joseph, I'm so happy that your friend sent me an email and asked about, you know, coming on the show. It's my honor to have you on a show like this, and I have the utmost respect for anyone who in the service, whether they were in the war or not, the fact that they did not ask for that. And what you lived and shared. At one point in time, I'd like for you to come back on the show and talk a little bit more about your experience, if you don't mind.
I hope God gives me a few more years.
Oh, I think you're going to be around for a while. In fact, you may be doing a second book.
I might be here for a reason. I don't know.
You are here for a reason, and you're a good man.
But I really love veterans.
We're gonna show a picture of your lovely wife, Eleanor Barna. She's beautiful, my friend. She's beautiful. And how many was 67 years, I think?
Sam, I knew her 70 years.
Yeah.
I met her when she was 16.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a story behind that's interesting.
Let's save that story for the second show.
Okay.
We're running out of
But
time.
I lost her December 22nd.
Yes, and she's and your family has a lot to be proud of. Joseph Barna, folks. The book is called God Makes Angels and Navy Corpsmen. I love shows like this where we could just listen and learn and appreciate what we have. Particularly our veterans. My hat goes off to them. We'll see you next time.